Can you hear me now, Chris? Okay, good. So you need to fix whatever's on your end. There we go. I think I hear you, Chris. Nope, still can't hear you.
Hello?
There we go.
It was the on button.
And
Dude, look at it. Okay. So the light will glow even if it's off. See, watch. So dumb. Oh, this graphic is sick.
I can hear myself and you at the same time, like 10 seconds ago.
Ew.
I don't know why.
Do you have it pulled up somewhere?
Oh yeah, yeah. That would do it. Yeah.
Oh, hi, baby.
Can you tell Uncle Chris say night night?
You are live, Amanda.
Oh, night night, baby.
I thought I didn't start till 10. My bad.
It's okay.
I don't think anyone's on.
Nope, not right now. So let's go ahead and we'll do this. You ready for this? This is pretty cool. And welcome into the Starcast Soccer Mark Studios along with Christian Chambers. I am Ryan, and we are coming to you live. So, anyways, hey Chris, how's it going?
It's going great. That intro was crazy. My goodness.
It spent a little bit of work on it, but it's kind of cool,
I
right?
thought about to get hit in the face with a puck.
All right. We want to thank all you guys for tuning in this evening. I know it's late, especially for those of us in the Central Division and also on the East Coast. But nonetheless, we welcome you in. And Chris is twirling a disc.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, they can see me now.
Forgot about that, huh?
I'm still going to do it.
Yep. Okay, so how about that Stanley Cup Final between the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning?
Boy, howdy. What a good one. I mean, it was real close, down to the wire series. Lots of really great games between two really competitive teams. I thought it was great.
You know, I really thought this, starting with Game 4. I thought that Montreal really, honestly, did the best they could. And in Game 4 and in Game 5, for that matter, they just could not figure out Vasilevsky in Game 5. And of course, Andrei Vasilevsky is your Conn Smythe winner for the 2021 playoffs. I don't think there was any doubt, especially after Game 5. I mean, he was making saves that were just absolutely insane. Well, let me ask you this: is Andrei Vasilevsky going to be up there with like the Hall of Fame greats, like the Brodeurs, the Haschicks, the Belforts?
Oh, yeah. Because this isn't even his last cup, I don't think. Yeah, I think he's winning another one, at least in Tampa, maybe somewhere else. But yeah, he's definitely going to be one of the best goaltenders of all time. He's at least in the Hall of Fame, is what I'm saying. That's at worst, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed. At the very least, he's in the Hall of Fame. And other storylines to come out of the Stanley Cup Final. Unfortunately for Stars fans, Patrick Maroon gets his third Stanley Cup. Not just third Stanley Cup, but third Stanley Cup in a row. He is a dynasty in and of himself, according to the hockey guy.
Screw that guy.
I know. Screw that guy. Nobody likes that guy. But anyways, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning, even though I despise their every being because they defeated the Stars last postseason. But there was some argument on Twitter, and I want to get your thoughts about this. And we've already made some similar comparisons between this year's Montreal Canadiens and the Stars from last year. You know, two teams mostly defensive oriented, definitely a Cinderella story, and not expected much from them in the playoffs, right? I mean, in the first round, the Stars were expected to lose to Calgary. And then the same thing with the Montreal Canadiens in the first round. And it looked like that they were actually going to lose that first round, going down 3-1, and then they end up in the Stanley Cup Finals. So go figure. But what's your thoughts on that? Is there any real comparison between those two?
Oh, yeah. I think they're super similar. They had a hot goalie that kind of drug them through. I think the Stars were scoring way more. I think it was more of a team effort on the Stars side than it was on the Canadian side. And the Stars had a much more difficult path to the Cup than the Canadians did this year. But, I mean, other than that, it's really similar in my opinion. They're both not really in the contender slot at the beginning of the season. That's not where you would really put them. But they ended the season in a great way. Yeah, I think they're really similar.
So do you think that they will have an opportunity to go back to the Stanley Cup Final next season, the Montreal Canadiens?
No.
And you know, what's funny, it's so weird to look at this Montreal Canadiens team and realize that they made the Stanley Cup Final, yet some people are putting them as not even making the playoffs just because of the division that they're in.
Oh, I think they make the playoffs, but they're still not a contender in my book. But and maybe this is Carey Price's last hurrah, and maybe he can't do it again. And I mean, if you look at his numbers, it wasn't like this season he was exceptional. I mean, in the regular season, he wasn't like the best goalie by any stretch. He wasn't in Vezina talks at all. So it's not unfathomable that they'll be not in the playoffs. But I mean, I still think they're a good team.
Do you think and we're just assuming that the NHL goes to the Olympics at this point, if I ask this question, which that looks like that's probably not going to happen. Sad thing. But is Carey Price the goaltender for Team Canada when time comes around based off of this playoffs? Do you think that's a thing?
No. I don't think so at all. I don't think he's the best goalie. I think they're like if you look at he had the best postseason other than Vasilevsky, obviously. But if you look at his regular season's numbers, he's really not that exceptional. And I mean, we weren't really talking about him in the regular season either. Like he didn't seem like the reason that the Canadians were making their big pushes to get into the playoffs. But I mean, he's still really good, but he's not the obvious number one goaltender that he was a couple of years ago.
Right. So, and you already mentioned this, but do you think this was his first and possibly only chance to get a Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I think if he doesn't get out of Montreal, then yeah, it's his last chance.
Do you think he could maybe be as a backup somewhere else?
That's what I'm thinking might happen if he really wants to go for one. Heck, maybe he goes to the Lightning. Seems to work out. Or just follow Pat Maroon. I mean, that would work as well.
Right. There was a bunch of jokes on Twitter that I was seeing that everyone is joking that they were going to trade Mitch Marner for Pat Maroon. Because if they have Pat Maroon, it's a guaranteed,
Pat Maroon's going to go for $8 million on the free agency market because of all the cups he has.
Man, that guy makes $900,000. As much as we, drown on him and how Stars fans hate him just because of who he is. I mean, he does a lot for that team. He plays on their fourth line, and he was fantastic for them.
He's a role guy. He just ends up making big plays somehow.
Right. And, let's talk about another storyline coming out of these playoffs is the cap situation in Tampa Bay. I think they keep the core around a lot of these guys, the big ones, Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov, Vasilevsky, but some of these depth players and some of these role players that they had, I don't see them returning.
Yeah, no way. And I mean, and that's where their strength is really. Like if you look in the final game, the big guys weren't even there. Like other than Vasilevsky, they weren't even showing up. They weren't even really getting great chances, in my opinion. But their depth is where they win their hockey games. Like Coleman is the number one thing that we're looking at right now. Like there's probably no chance he's in Tampa Bay next year, but that's where their strength is. That's why they're able to win in so many different ways, is because they had players who can do all the different things.
Well, and it's the same thing with all of those other players too. Blake Coleman, Barclay Goodrow, and then speaking of other players that just happened to step up for the Tampa Bay Lightning at the right time, how about the golden goal for Tampa Bay? Ross Colton. He just comes out of nowhere this season, and he seems to be relied upon, and he scores the only goal in the in games 5 for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's all they needed. They just needed one. And it just goes to show you just how deep this team is. And let me ask you this question, because there's a lot of speculation between this too on Twitter that people are talking about. But a lot of people are saying that the success of the Tampa Bay Lightning is because of Steve Yzerman, who is no longer with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and he's actually now building the team in Detroit. And then other people are saying, no, it had nothing to do with Steve Yzerman. It was all Julian Breezebroth. Do you think it's a mix of both, or do you think it was all Steve Yzerman and that's why they won back-to-back cups?
I think last season was all Steve Yzerman because, pretty much everybody on that team Yzerman brought in. But, this season, being able to get that high over the cap hit, what was it, $18 million at the end of the day when it's all said and done? Yep. That's impressive. I know it's breaking the spirit of the rules and everything, but it's in the rules. He followed the rules, and he abused them better than any other GM did. So he did his job the best, and that's why he won the cup. Well, that's what it is. If you think about it,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
If you can push the rules to score more goals, and you don't do that, you're not doing your job. So he did his job the best of any GM did this year by going as high as he could over the cap hit, and he got another cup because of it. So kudos to him.
And another player I wanted to talk about was Nick Suzuki. Holy crap, man. The combo of him and Caulfield over the next, I'll say decade, because both of these guys are under the age of 22. That playoff experience that they gained is completely priceless. You can't put anything on it. There's nothing comparable to what they learned. Yes, they lost, and they really probably wanted it for those guys like Perry and Eric Stahl, Shea Weber, Carey Price. Even though Carey Price is not to that age yet, you kind of feel like that was his one and only shot. But the experience that they gained is tremendous for possible future Stanley Cup pushes.
And that's why I think they're still going to be in the playoffs next year when it's all said and done, because those young guys are still so good and they're just going to get better. And that's where they're in my opinion, that's where the best part of their team is in those younger guys. And that's only going to get better from here. So.
Well, so let's talk about the Stars related news to this Stanley Cup final, because there's a couple of interesting tidbits coming out of this. I completely forgot about this guy, but how about Jamel Smith? He got a Stanley Cup. And Chris is like, huh? Who? He used to play for the Stars several years ago. And
I know, but I didn't know he was on the Lightning.
I know, I didn't either until I saw it. And I guess he was a healthy scratch, because I saw them out there for the celebration, but he wasn't playing the game, obviously. But he got himself a Stanley Cup. Good for him.
Hey, and then you take him any way you can get him.
Right. And on the flip side, on the sad side, Corey Perry, second year in a row, second chance to get the Stanley Cup, and he falls short. Any chances he returns to Dallas just based off of the fact that he gained all this experience?
No.
Yeah, I agree with you too. There's a lot of people that want him to come back, and I'm just like, we've moved on from him. We got that opportunity for him last year. We just couldn't pull it over the door for him.
But he's shown that he is a playoff guy. So I think teams are going to want him, and I think he's going to go for a decently high price, honestly, just because of what he does in the playoffs. And he shows it last year and this year. So
right, and anybody who is looking for that Stanley Cup push will definitely sign him. Those teams, maybe Colorado. I don't know. Colorado got kind of destroyed in the playoffs by by Vegas, and maybe they need somebody like that, or maybe even Vegas needs somebody like Corey Perry. So
anybody could benefit from Corey Perry on their team, like a little bit of extra goals in the end of the season and a little bit more grit in the regular season. That's a great option.
Yep, agreed. And then the last topic I wanted to mention with the Stanley Cup Final in regards to the Stars is all the buzz around Plano native Blake Coleman. Obviously, just based off of what we saw in the playoffs, he could command a decent amount of money for somebody at his caliber. Some people are even pushing him, saying that he could be a top 6 forward.
He definitely could.
I think he could, but I think if you look at where Tampa Bay had him, he would be most effective on the third line. And based off of what I'm seeing for the Stars this upcoming offseason, I think you could plug him in on the third line. And if we keep Jamie Benn at center, which I fully expect them to do, they've already talked about keeping him at center. Ben would be the third line center, and he could play with Blake Coleman. And those are two guys that sort of kind of play the same style. You know, they play very very heavy. They both hit a lot. You know, two power forwards.
If Ben and Coleman are a third line, goodness, dude.
I mean, look at the players that we have, and think about the lineup that could happen.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Ben would technically be on the third line. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at the first line, obviously I would keep the first line the same as this past year because those three guys would just work great together. Pavelski, Hintz, Robo. Keep all three of those guys together. Mm-hmm. That means that your second line, you could have Tyler Seguin, you could have Alexander Radulov, and then you could put Gary Onoff on that second line. And that's not a bad second line.
It's a great second line.
It's a little older, but you know, with
that's what Gary Onoff is for.
There.
And Seguin is still fast. Seguin's not old. I mean, he's older, but
he's older. He's almost 30, I think. Isn't that crazy to think he's almost 30? So, anyways, and then that would mean that on the third line, that would be Jamie Benn and Blake Coleman, and I guess you could put Kiwi on the other side. That's not a bad third line. And honestly, the way that Jamie Benn has been digressing over the past couple of years with his point totals, I think part of that is the system that Bonus has in place. But I think it's also just because he's getting older, and maybe this is we've seen the best of Jamie Benn. But if you can keep him at a third line role, I think he can still be super effective. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I like being able to spread out the lines as well, and that would make all four of our lines really good. It would make us not have a great second line, in my opinion. So our second line would just kind of be meh, kind of decent, but that would be one of the best third lines in the league. And our fourth line would still be really strong the way it's always been for us. So I think that's a great option.
Well, and on that fourth line, and you know, assuming that Dickinson and Faksa are not taken in the expansion draft, maybe one of the two. I still don't know the plans of
one of the two is staying.
Yeah, one of the two. But I mean, imagine a fourth line of Jason Dickinson, Radek Faksa, and Blake Como. That's not a bad fourth line.
That's a good fourth line.
Pretty good. And considering, you know, the defensive prowess of Radek Faksa and the fact that he can occasionally score goals. He's not the offensive juggernaut that we drafted him to be, but he's kind of forced himself into that defensive role. And then the same with Jason Dickinson. Dickinson doesn't score as much goals as Faksa, but again, he's a very good defensive forward, and that just gets me excited. You know,
that's what I mean. That's what I was saying all last season. Like our fourth line last season, literally AHL guys, and now this next season, and we still almost made the playoffs. Like we probably should have. And this season, we have a whole extra line of guys that are way better. So yeah, this season's really exciting for me. I think it's going to be a really good chance for us to go really deep into the playoffs.
I am very excited for this upcoming year.
And I'm so excited about the short off season and all the stuff that's going to fill the short off season too.
Yeah,
it's going to feel like there's not even an off season. I feel like it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So for those of you that
How
don't
are we
know,
excited after hockey just ended yesterday? Hockey ended yesterday, and we're so excited for hockey already.
I know, yeah. Did you see Saad Yousef's tweet this morning? He just put, "I miss hockey." That's all he put. the morning after, yeah. I'm already excited for this upcoming year. This is going to be a lot of fun, and congratulations once again to the Tampa Bay Lightning to wrap things up. And also congratulations to the Montreal Canadiens who blew away everybody's expectations. They deserve way more credit than what they're getting. Everyone's saying that they shouldn't be in the final or whatever. But they're also saying that Tampa Bay shouldn't be in the final because they were $18 million over the cap. Either way, it was fun to watch, and Montreal gave it their all. That it would just Tampa Bay was too good.
The Canadiens played better than all the teams that they beat when it comes down to it. So yeah, they did deserve to be there.
Well, and look at the teams that they beat.
That's what I'm saying. The teams that they beat were no slouches.
Yeah, like Toronto was seen as a perennial Stanley Cup contender, and they completely just washed out. Winnipeg was seen as a decent team, but they were still expected to lose to Winnipeg, and then they go against the Vegas Golden Knights, who have been good ever since they've existed in the league. So you got to give Montreal props. You have to. You have to. You can't say that it was a fluke. And thinking about that now, more people need to give the Stars credit for their fluke in the 2020 bubble playoffs. So, in 2 ways, we'll put a nice little bow on that, and that ends the 2020-2021 season. Thank you, COVID. No one likes you, but we will have a full 82 game schedule this upcoming season, and I am super excited for that. So, we'll see what is in store for Tampa Bay with the offseason stuff and Montreal going forward. But here's the main reason for our show tonight. I don't think I've ever done more research in my life than I have the past couple of days.
Same.
Chris and I are going to go through our Seattle expansion draft picks for every single team. So I'm not sure what Chris did for protected players, but we're not going to get into all the rules and stuff like that because that's a lot of explanation that I don't feel like talking about because it's boring
and that I'm not smart enough to talk about.
Right. There's very specific guidelines, and so basically, at the very least, every team has to submit at least 4 players that are considered expansion draft eligible: 2 forwards, 1 defenseman, and 1 goaltender.
And what constitutes eligible is when it gets confusing.
Right. And there's lots of loopholes and all this other sort of stuff. So we're not going to talk about that. But for example, for the Stars, here's who our open guys are. So for Dallas, it is Blake Como and Tanner Caro. They meet the expansion draft requirements. Now, that doesn't mean that out of all of the forwards that the Stars have, that the Seattle Kraken can only take those players. So they can take multiple different players. And for defenseman, I believe it's Andrei Sekera. And then for goaltender, obviously we all know it's Anton Khudobin, who is eligible for the Stars. Now, again, that does not mean that that it has to be one of those 4 players. There are other players that are eligible to be taken by Seattle. So, like, for example, everyone's talking about Jason Dickinson. That seems to be the biggest pick that everyone's saying. Others are saying, possibly Adam Masherin, the AHL standout from this past year. So there's going to be some good players that are eligible to be taken by Seattle. And this is based off of right now. So if there are trades that happen afterwards, this makes our list completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I was going to preface with that too. There are going to be trades and stuff. This is our picks for at least for me, I picked if Seattle wants to make the best team possible so that they can win as soon as possible, that's what I chose. And assuming that there's no kind of trades or any weird stuff like that. Just if it happened tomorrow and they want to pick the best team, that's what my list is going to be. Okay.
And we're also going to preface with this, that the players we protected, there were 2 options that we could have gone with. Cap Friendly has a quick protect, which it protects players based off of crowdsourced popularity. I didn't necessarily want to go with that. I wanted to get some local, opinions about people. So what I did is I went I went ahead and went with the Athletic. So there were some exceptions.
And I use cat friendly, so that we'll be able to kind of debate between those two different ones whenever there's differences, because I did see a couple of pretty big ones.
Yeah, and there's going to be some huge players that I think are available, and one of them I actually took. I was surprised I took it, but my team needed a number one center. So, okay, how do we want to do this, Chris? You want to start, or you want me to start?
I think we should start at Arizona and like go.
Oh, what about Anaheim? You totally left.
Oh yeah, Anaheim. My bad. Let's start. Let's go alphabetical. I think that'll keep me.
That'll keep you in line.
Yeah, keep me in order.
Okay, I've got a piece of paper. I don't know about you. I'm old school. Do you have it up on your computer or something?
Yeah, I have the exact same piece of paper. I just didn't print it off because I'm not a maniac.
Not a maniac. Okay. Okay, so let's see. I need to pull up my own Dumaflachi real quick here. Christian, why don't you go ahead and tell us your very first pick coming from the Anaheim Ducks? Who did you choose?
Okay. Oh, wait, where'd it go? Yes, that's correct. Okay. So from the Anaheim Ducks, the Seattle Kraken select Kevin Shattenkirk.
Really?
Yes.
I'm a little
Kevin
surprised.
Shattenkirk. He's probably gonna be. He might be a number one D man on the team. So he's under contract until 2023, which is really good. I found that there's actually a lot of good defensemen available right now in this draft. Not so much on the forwards department, but for defensemen, there's a lot of good ones available. So their second and their third line of defensemen, I think, are going to be great. Their first line might not be amazing, but actually we're going to get there. It might be pretty good still. But yeah, Kevin Shattenkirk is first overall. I think he's a really good pick.
All right. So for me, the Seattle Kraken select Alexander Volkov. Now this is a very young player who is an RFA coming up this year. He's only 23 years of age, and you're going to see that a lot of the players that I took are on the younger side. So I kind of went with the opposite approach.
Pretty much opposite, yeah.
I took some older players so that the team could be competitive now, but I mostly looked forward to the future because I don't expect Seattle to pull a Vegas Golden Knights and go to the Stanley Cup Final. But again, I wouldn't be surprised because we've seen it.
I think they absolutely can. I think this draft class, they're going to be a really good defensive team. They're not going to be the same kind as the Knights were, how they were kind of just really good at team offense. But I think they're going to be a great shutdown defense team, especially if one of these goalies that they can pick up can kind of find his fire again.
Yep, I agree. So, I mean, we'll see how both of those picks end up. I know this is kind of silly, but one of the reasons why I picked Alexander Volkov is, you know why?
Why?
He came from the Tampa Bay Lightning. So it just seems like everybody that comes out of the Tampa Bay Lightning organization ends up being a good player. JT Miller, who is now in Vancouver, Carter Verhaeghe, who is now down in Sunrise and Miami area, Florida. So that might have been one of the other reasons why I picked him. Just saying. Okay, next pick, second overall, Arizona Coyotes. Chris, you're on the clock.
From the Arizona Coyotes, I selected Johan Larson, or is it Johan? I don't know.
Johan Larson.
Yeah, Johan Larson. He's going to be kind of a depth guy. He's not going to be super important, to be honest. But he's under contract for a little bit, so you don't have to worry about getting him re-signed real quick. That's the other thing that I kind of looked at too. Was I don't want to have to be signing a bunch of guys before the draft, because that's something we didn't talk about. So if they're not signed under contract, they can still be selected by Seattle. But the way it works is they'll have 10 days before the draft to come to a contract extension. And if they agree on a contract extension, then they can be selected, and that extension will be applied to them in Seattle. So I've only done that twice, and we'll talk about those when they come up. But for the most part, I wanted to stay away from that because that feels like that gives a lot of leverage to the players, and that's not going to be a great situation for Seattle. But yeah, Johan Larsson, pretty good. He's kind of an older guy. He's about 28, but again, he's going to be one of those depth guys. He's going to be a middle six guy. He doesn't have bad stats, but he's not really like a big scorer, but he'll be a good depth player.
For me, the Seattle Kraken select goaltender Aiden Hill. So with the backlog of goaltenders that Arizona has, and I mean they got Darcy Kemper, Antti Ranta, and Aiden Hill. That's one of the few good things that Arizona has going for them. I'm really sorry, Arizona fans. I apologize, but I'm going to be taking Aiden Hill because he has a lot of upside. I don't necessarily think he's going to be the starter for the Seattle Kraken, but I definitely see him as a possible decent backup. And he is not signed for 2021, 2022. So he is a restricted free agent. So you'll find that I selected a bunch of restricted free agents as well. So
yeah, well, restricted is a little bit easier, but yeah. I just don't know enough about Aiden Hill. I saw a couple of people select him, so I assume he's a good prospect, but I just don't know enough about it. I barely know enough about Dallas prospects. I'm not going to go so far as to look into other teams' prospects that I want to select.
Well, and I don't necessarily know if you can call him a prospect anymore because technically he's 25 years old. So
goalies, that's not abnormal.
Goaltenders, they ripen later than others. So, anyways, let's keep it moving with the Boston Bruins. All right, who do you have selected from the Boston Bruins?
These stupid symbols are so small. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I've got. Oh my goodness, this name has this little thingies on top. Jeremy Lawson? I have no idea how to say that name.
Jeremy Lazon.
Bro, it's got the little thingies on it. He's gonna be.
Oh my goodness. Oh, if only Boston Bruins fans could hear you say that. I would have loved that. Say how you said it the first time again. Do it again.
Jeremy Lazon.
Okay, Jeremy Lazon. Yeah, and I also selected him as well.
Oh, you did?
Yep, I did. Particular reasons why you picked him?
He's a left and a right shot defenseman, so he's played both sides, so that's not a bad thing. Obviously helpful. He played this year. He's a really defensive-minded defenseman. From what I've heard and saw, like he was really solid on their bottom of their lineup. He's pretty young and he's under contract till 2022 when he becomes an RFA still. So that's going to be something that could be really easy to re-sign. He could become a really good defenseman later on. He's not going to be an offensive guy. Obviously, he's not going to be a Heiskanen or anything like that, but he could be a solid Alexiak. And he's pretty big, so not a bad option.
Yeah, kind of think along the lines of Esa Lindell, but not to the same level quite yet. He may get there, but he's a very solid top 4 option, and he's already shown that playing in Boston. And based off of who they have to protect, I think that's a no-brainer. I think almost everybody that I looked up, the people that I trust online and stuff like that, they all made their selection as Jeremy Lazon. So no question there. Agree with you there, Chris. All right. Moving on to the Buffalo Sabres. Who's your pick?
From the Buffalo Sabres, I selected Anders Bjork. Again, no clue. But he's a pretty young guy. He's only 24. He's a big winger, so he's gonna be another kind of depth guy. Maybe not even fully up in the league yet. He didn't play the whole season for Buffalo. Seems like I don't know if he was hurt or if he had some healthy scratches, but he's 6 foot left winger. He can score, but mainly a depth guy for third or fourth line probably. But he's under contract for how long is it? Where'd it go? Yeah, for 2 more seasons, and then he becomes an RFA again. So again, that's another guy you can build a team off of too.
I actually went sort of kind of the same direction, but instead of taking Anders Bjork, I took a guy that was just slightly younger, and I took Rasmus Asplund. And I mean, it was kind of, you know, it just depended on who you looked at. Some people picked Bjork, some people picked Asplund, and I watched a couple of highlights on Asplund and also on Bjork, and I don't know. I just liked Asplund better just based off of what I saw.
Who is Asplund?
So
What does he play like? Is he more of an offensive guy?
he's more of a defensive guy.
Oh, is he same kind of deal? Is he big
Yeah.
too?
Actually, I don't know, to be honest with you. It's kind of hard to tell when you're just watching film. I'll look it up here in a second. I'll let you know. All right. Let's continue on with the Calgary Flames. Based off of who was protected, who did you pick, Christian?
I picked Chris Tanev. So,
Really?
Yes, I did. I'm taking him. He's up. He's available. I'm taking him. That's pretty much the way I looked at this. So Chris Tanev, he's a big D guy who plays for the Flames. He's 31, so he's not young. We're not building with this guy, but he's going to make the team good right now. He's a really good defenseman. I know I hate plus minus, but that's the only thing you could look at defense stats on, really. He was plus 15 this season, and he only had 12 points, and he was plus 15, which that's pretty dang good.
Pretty good. That's very good.
Yeah, career-wise, he's plus 58 as well. So he's a really good defenseman, really solid, and he's going to be your 1 or 2 guy.
So this is going to be the one time that I go away from my strategy, okay? So based off of who was protected on The Athletic, the Seattle Kraken select none other than Mark Giordano. This is the one time I'm going away from the whole young players person. Here's my belief, and there's two reasons.
I don't know how he's going to be unprotected. I don't understand, but continue.
2 reasons. One is because of the cap hit. Okay. And that's also a reason why I'm taking him, honestly, as well. And his age. And they've got other players that they want to protect. And instead of protecting Mark Giordano on my protected players, it was Chris Tanev that was protected. Here's my thing. When Vegas came into the league, who was their big quote unquote superstar that came in? Fleury, right. The Seattle Kraken needs somebody like that who has had past success, who is a big known player in the league. I know he's not the same, and he's probably not going to play, first pairing minutes for the Seattle Kraken right off the bat. But I think he is a very good pick because you need somebody like Mark Giordano in your lineup. And especially for all these younger guys that I selected, they can learn a whole bunch of information from him, learn how to be a pro, learn how to get ready for games, whatever. And then, I also don't think that he would be a bad first choice as the first Seattle Kraken captain. So
I just don't see how Calgary could do that. Like that's their franchise guy. That would be honestly the correct decision, but their fans would kill them.
Well, not necessarily. I really don't. I don't know. Mark Giordano is not the same guy that won the Norris like 3 or 4 years ago. He's very, very quickly declined.
Still, that's their guy, dude.
I know. He's kind of like the Jerome Iginla now for that team.
That's going to be a tough thing for their GM to do. We'll have to see.
But I think that Mark Giordano will be available, and I do believe that he will be selected.
Yeah, if Tanev is protected, I'm probably going to do the same thing.
Now, the other option was Oliver Shillington. It's pronounced Shillington, but it starts with a K. He's another young guy who's an RFA coming up this year. But the main reason why I didn't explain the other half of why I selected him for a salary cap reasons. Another rule for the draft is that the Seattle Kraken have to have up to 60% of the cap, I believe. I think it's 60%. They have to hit a certain number. I think it's like 48.5 million or something like that. So it's something like that. So that's one of the main reasons I also selected him as well. So that's my first major pick, in my opinion, for the Seattle Kraken. Okay, coming up for the Carolina Hurricanes, who does the Seattle Kraken select for you, Christian?
The Hurricanes are pretty well protected on their list this season, but they do have somebody, Steven Lorentz, who's available right now. He's at almost minimum contract, and he's like just barely available because he's played enough in the AHL. But this guy is a big center. He is 6'4", 206 pounds. He's 25. He plays center. You always want centers. Centers are great. Everybody loves centers.
Look at the stars. Look at the stars.
Look at the stars. We need lots of centers. But yeah, he's a great guy. He's going to be kind of power forwardy. He can be a stand in front of the net kind of guy as well. But he's going to be a great option. He could develop into a really good player. He didn't play a ton. This season he played about 45 games, but he didn't have a lot of minutes. He only had 8 points. But a center that big, he's going to be good somewhere.
Agreed. I think he has a real opportunity of being a good third or fourth liner for the Seattle Kraken. He was one of my last picks who I might have picked, but based off of what I saw who was protected on the Athletics site, I took again another restricted free agent. I took Jake Bean. And Jake Bean is seen as a very good, solid top 4 defenseman. And I believe that he would be a good selection for the Seattle Kraken going forward. And I know I'm selecting a lot of RFAs, but young guys, man, I'm gonna take him if one like that is available. He's not at the same level as Jeremy Lauzon, but he is seen as possibly having a higher ceiling. So maybe he projects to be a top 2, but definitely a top 4. And he's played a little bit in the very, very deep defensive core of the Carolina Hurricanes. So that is my pick for the Seattle Kraken for the Carolina Hurricanes. All right. Coming up next for the Seattle Kraken is the Chicago Blackhawks. Christian, who does Seattle take from Chicago?
I took Riley Stillman. He's a defenseman for them. He's only 23 and he's under contract for a good long while. And when that contract runs out, he's going to be an RFA. So again, he'll be pretty easy to sign after that. But he's another solid defensive defenseman. He's going to have to fight to get on that third pairing. But I honestly think he's the one I'd put my money on to win that fight, to get on to that roster, just because I think he's played really well the few games he has played. He's very much not offensive at all. He played in about half the games this season, and the only points he has is 1 goal. But again, he's +5 after that too. So he on the Blackhawks, which is pretty dang good. So I think he's a really good option. He's really young. Another guy who can be in the center of your defensive core as you move along.
And it's funny that you picked a defenseman. I went with Calvin DeHaan. And again, defensive defenseman, very good pick for the Seattle Kraken in order to get started for their first franchise. He will probably with the
old and expensive. I don't get it.
Well, I mean, you got to take some expensive guys to hit the cap floor. So
Bro, I'm about to hit the cap ceiling. You don't even know yet.
So for me, it's Calvin DeHaan from the Chicago Blackhawks. All right, Colorado Avalanche, Seattle Kraken. Chris, go.
So from the Colorado Avalanche, I am selecting Ryan Graves. I'm not quite sure how he's going to be unprotected. Well, I am kind of, because the Avalanche are stacked and you have to unprotect somebody. But he's going to be under contract until 2023, which is great. He's only 26, which is also great. And you're only paying him $3 million. And he's already on the Avs second pairing, right? And he's outstanding. So he's going to be at least on the second pairing, maybe on the first pairing, depending on if he takes over Tanev's spot in my roster. But yeah, that's a great pick.
I'm right there with you. Ryan Graves. That's who I chose as well.
Yeah, how do you not take him?
Here's the only thing that has to be shown as well is that's assuming that Eric Johnson, who has a no movement clause, will waive his clause. Now, if he doesn't, then it could be very different who I would pick. But I'm going with the assumption that Eric Johnson would waive his no movement clause, and Seattle's not going to take him if he waives his clause. So I also selected Ryan Graves as well. So if he didn't waive his clause, I think it might be a different story for me. I was this close to possibly getting Brandon Saad, very close to getting Brandon Saad, but I was just like Ryan Graves. You can't go over Ryan Graves.
Yeah,
so
no.
That's for me. Okay, Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus Blue Jackets. Who are you taking?
Eric Robinson, I guess. He's kind of big. He kind of can score. Sure. Eric Robinson. I don't. There's nobody. They suck.
Okay, so here is my pick, and my pick is going to surprise probably several people. I went with Max Domi. I selected Max Domi. I think there's not a lot of forward options for the Seattle Kraken team, especially right off the bat. Max Domi has not been very successful in Columbus. He needs a change of scenery. This would be a perfect opportunity for him, in my opinion.
Sorry, go ahead.
He had a couple of good seasons in I almost said Phoenix, in Arizona. He had a couple of good seasons in Montreal. I think he just needs a fresh start to where he could possibly be seen as a first line guy starting off for this team. So
did the Athletic give reason as to why he would be unprotected? Because I have him as protected on my end.
I didn't look too much into it, to be honest with you, but he was available according to the Athletic.
Yeah, if he's available, I'm with you. Take him.
I think the reason why he wasn't protected is just based off of the fact that he's not worth his cap hit right now, the way he played this past season. And this past season, he did not have a good season with Columbus at all. And he had several good seasons. The past 2 years have been terrible for him.
Yeah, so I guess if you're trying to dump some cap, that kind of makes sense. But man, I don't think I could get rid of Max Domi that easily. But I know Columbus sucks, so they're probably going to be. They might be looking if they're choosing to press the panic button. That's what I would do too, I guess. But yeah, kind of strange.
That's just
if he's available, I'm taking him too. Just for the record, I'm not stupid.
We didn't even talk about Seth Jones, did we? We'll talk about him if we have time, but probably not because we're getting really late already. Okay, here we go. To our own team, the Dallas Stars. Who does Seattle take from the Dallas Stars?
So from the same conversation we had a while ago, this is one of the two people that they're going to have to sign because Jim Nill is a genius and we are very well protected. They're going to select Jason Dickinson, in my opinion, still. He's just all-around guy. He could play second line for them, honestly. He's that good of a guy. He can play wing for them. He can penalty kill for them. I'm sure he could play on the second power play if they wanted that. I don't know. I hope they don't need that, but he's an all-around guy. I think, especially this season, he played great. And I think he would be a great pick for them. Give him a 3-year bridge contract under the RFA, and you're very happy with that.
Now, the other choice that some people are saying they should pick is Adam Mashrin. Is there any possibility to that?
Yeah, there's possibility of that.
I still don't think you take him over Jason Dickinson.
I don't think so. If they took Adam Mashrin, I would be happier than if they took Jason Dickinson. So that means that they should probably take Jason Dickinson. But yeah, I mean, why would you give up on a sure good thing he's only 26. If you can sign him to a 3-year bridge, that's more than worth it.
Right.
He could become a center of your team. He's shown that he's still progressing as a player from last season. It just seems like, why not go with the sure thing? He's not that much more expensive. Like maybe 2 million, 2.5 maybe at max. But yeah.
Yep. I agree. There's no other choice for me. It's Jason Dickinson. So
and while since we're a Stars podcast, if we could find a way to get Anton Hudobin off in this expansion.
Right. Yeah. I was just thinking about that in the last couple of bits, because this is assuming that there are no deals that are done with Seattle and other teams, which we know there will be. At least the very least, there will be one with Nashville, because what we've heard some rumors about that Nashville really wants to make sure that Seattle picks this certain player. And I have a hunch of who that is, but I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. But, it's very possible that the Stars make a deal with the Seattle Kraken and say, hey, we'll give you a third round pick if you select Anton Hudobin for us.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. That's the highest I would go, is a third round pick for him. Because I think we could get him traded to another team for that, because he's still a good goalie. Like, he didn't play outstanding this year. There were some games where he was bad, but especially if you're gonna
better stats than Carey Price.
That's what I was gonna say. And we've seen this through the past like 4 or 5 seasons. Even if you have 2 good goalies, that's how you're gonna be in contention for the President's Cup. Like, if you want to win the President's Cup, you need 2 goalies, and if you want to be having a real shot at the Stanley Cup, 2 goalies is the way you want to go. So I think we could trade him off somewhere else and get something in return too. Even if Seattle doesn't select him. So I think a third round pick is the highest I would go. If they don't take that, that's fine. Let them have Dickinson, and we'll trade off Hudobin for a prospect and a pick.
Right. And the other thing is that, the whole Dougie Hamilton thing. There's a lot of rumors that Seattle's willing to pay Dougie Hamilton whatever he wants. And we didn't really talk about that with the Carolina Hurricanes, but that's a huge possibility. Who knows? All right. Next, we're going to the Detroit Red Wings. Who do you got for the Detroit Red Wings?
Ooh. Oh, give me a second. Where'd it go? Okay. I got Richard Panik. He's Panic, whatever. I don't care.
For 2.
Yeah, I'm not doing great. But anyway, he's 30. He's an older guy, but I think, and again, he's a bigger guy. All the guys I picked are bigger, because this is going to have to be a defensive-minded team. So I kind of, if there was a decision to be made, I always picked the bigger guy. But I think we could push to try and get him to be a second liner if we needed it on this team. So he could be a pushing second liner, most likely a third liner, but either way, he's a good experienced guy. He's a big guy. He's good on defense. He can put up a couple points. He played, 48 games this season. He put up 13 points. That's not terrible. And maybe on a new team, he feels more valued, and maybe tries to pick it up a little bit. I don't know, but he was the best pick in my opinion.
I actually went the same route as you did. I went a little older with this team. I went with Danny DeKeyser, and he's one of the top 4 defensemen for Detroit, and on a pretty rough team. They're getting better. They definitely got better this past year, but he's in the top 4 on their team. I think I'm mostly getting him again for the cap hit. It's $5 million. He's only UFA until next season. But the other reason I wanted to get him is because he could be a very good shutdown defenseman. And I kind of went with the same mindset as you, with the fact that there's going to be a lot of defensive defensemen that are going to be available. And I kind of went with a more defensive-minded team. So Danny DeKeyser is my pick for the Detroit Red Wings. All right, Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton Oilers. Chris, who is your pick for the Edmonton Oilers for the Seattle Kraken? You're on the clock.
So this is another one of my signings. So from the Edmonton Oilers, I got Tyson Barrie. So Tyson Barrie is a little bit of an older guy. Again, he's a defensive defenseman. Go figure. But he can at least put up a couple of points. Wait, no, I'm wrong. I'm mixing up, guys. He is not a defensive defenseman. This is a score points guy. I forgot about that. So he's a score points guy. Bro, there's too many names. Y'all try doing this. It's so hard. Okay. But anyway, he put up 48 points last season. That's pretty great. Hopefully this guy's going to quarterback your power play unit. But yeah, there's another one of my signings. I think he's going to cost a lot to get him off of Edmonton. But I think he'll definitely be worth it. But there you go.
So I went with a little bit of a different signing, and there are two reasons why I did this. All right. So based off of the protected list that I saw on The Athletic, the person who I saw available was actually none other than Caleb Jones. And he is actually the brother of Seth Jones. So this guy is a little bit younger. He is on the young side. He is 24 years old. He is under contract for next season, and he will be an RFA after next season. He's at $850,000. He played a little bit this year, I believe. I didn't see a ton about him, but one of the other reasons why I selected him is because maybe possibly to entice Seth Jones to come and play for Seattle. That was my thought. So I selected Caleb Jones with the Chicago Blackhawks pick. Christian, what we got next? Florida Panthers. This one was actually really interesting for me. Who do you got from the Florida Panthers?
I went back to the defenseman. I got Radko Gudas, another defensive defenseman. Not like Tyson Barrie. Tyson Barrie's the offensive guy. This guy's the defensive guy. Okay, but we got Radko Gudas. He's a solid guy. He's gonna be. He's probably your fifth defenseman, to be honest, just because of how good everybody or all the defensive defensemen are on this team. But I think he'll be your fifth guy. He's pretty solid. He's pretty big, 6 feet tall. He's pretty old, though, but you know what? I like him. I'm taking him.
This is my other big fish that I wanted to fry. This guy is a UFA going into this offseason, but I'm picking him because he played well for the Florida Panthers this past season, and that is goaltender Chris Driedger. Florida had a huge they've got 3 good goaltenders. And again, I'm doing Florida a favor by taking him. But I want rights to him. And this is all assuming that he will sign a contract with Seattle, which I think he will, because I believe that he will be the starter for the Seattle Kraken for my team going into 2021, 2022.
Yeah, I was
So he was a very good pick for me, and I couldn't pass him up. There was nobody else on Florida that I thought I could take. I thought maybe Anton Strawman, but again, he's on the older side, and I didn't want to pick up too many contracts that were older. So
I think
Chris Driedger.
I think I would take Chris Driedger, but the only issue is he's not on a contract, and from the goalies that I selected, I would trade him, and he wouldn't sign a contract if I was going to trade him. You don't want to start out your franchise as telling a guy you want him on your team and then trading off his contract. So that's why I didn't take him. But if you think he's going to be the number 1 goalie, go for it, dude. I don't know.
I think he will. I think him and one other person on my list will fight for the starting job. And one will be traded, the other will stay, and Aiden Hill will be the backup. That's my thought process with the 3 goaltenders I chose.
I don't know about all
that. Okay, who's next? The LA Kings, who just recently acquired none other than Victor Arvidsson from the Nashville Predators. So this was one of the ones that I had to update the protected list myself without looking at the Athletic, just based off of because they were the list before Victor Arvidsson got traded. So, Chris, who are you taking from the Los Angeles Kings if you're a Seattle Kraken?
I got Austin Wagner. So he's a 24-year-old. He's a right winger. He's a pretty big guy again. Doesn't score a lot of points again, but this is going to be a defensive-minded team. He's also got a lot of potential still. He's still young. He can still develop into a pretty good player. He's played a couple of seasons in the pros, but not a ton. He's shown a little bit more offense in previous seasons, but who knows? Who knows? But he's pretty big. He's going to be a fourth line scrappy guy, maybe third line, but I like him. We're taking Austin Wagner.
So I went with a first-round draft pick guy who is available. He was originally selected by the New York Rangers, and he kind of didn't have a very good relationship with the New York Rangers, so he has to be traded, and he was traded to the LA Kings. So I actually took Lias Andersson. This is a, high risk, high reward kind of pick for me. This is a guy who could, in very big asterisks, be in the top six. And again, because there's not very many guys that could play top 6 minutes that are available in the expansion draft. So he is my pick from the LA Kings for the Seattle Kraken.
I'm showing him as protected. I agree with you. If you can get him, and if you can get him under contract too, which is another one of the big things.
Right, because he is a restricted free agent. Yeah. Yeah,
I would take him as well. And just let him play those top minutes and see what he can do with it. Just give it a shot because why not?
Yeah.
So I agree if he's unprotected, but we'll have to see.
Okay, let's see what we got next. Coming up after the LA Kings are the Minnesota Wild. This was a very interesting one for me. Chris, who do you got Seattle taking from Minnesota?
All right, I showed that Matt Dumba is available, so I'm taking Matt Dumba.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind on that pick either. Because if they try to, and they're going the 7-3-1 route, protecting 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, 1 goaltender. And if they go the 4-4-1 route, they're leaving some pretty good forwards available if they do it that way. So I'm right there with you. I take Matt Dumba. He's 26. He plays on the right side, so there's not a lot of right-sided defensemen. His cap hit is not crazy bad. It's $6 million. That's not terrible.
Not terrible.
And he signed all the way to the year 2023. So I agree with you 100%. Matt Dumba is the pick for both of us from the Minnesota Wild. Okay. Next up is Montreal. Chris, who you got?
I'm taking my first goalie. I'm taking Jake Allen. So I'm taking Jake Allen.
Mm-mm.
Yes, I am. You're 30.
You're wrong.
Go look at his stats, okay? His stats this season. No, I want you to guess. So he played 29 games this season. Nothing to bat an eye at. What's his save percentage this season? Take a guess.
Apparently it's crazy, so I'll say 922.
Okay, it's not that crazy. It's 907. 907 is good. Okay, that's not a bad save percentage. Goals against average 2.68. Again, that's good. It's not great. It's good. I'm trading Jake Allen after I pick him up, and I'm trading him to a team who needs a goaltender because there's a couple of teams that really do who are playoff contenders. So yeah, I think Jake Allen is the pick to make here. I think we're going to trade him off. I think we're going to either get heck ton of draft picks, some good prospects, maybe try and make a package deal and sneak away a top 6 guy. We'll see.
Now, this one was actually a little bit harder for me just because we saw so much of Montreal, and I especially started paying attention to them after they swept Winnipeg. So I've seen them a lot over the past couple of weeks. So it made it kind of hard to decide who I would take. Jake Allen is a very respectable pick. I was just giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
but again, he's an older goaltender, older than the guys that I chose. So I didn't go with him. I actually went with Brett Kulak, who
Who?
Brett Kulak. He's a defenseman. He has a very respectable cap hit at 1.85 million, and I understand he was healthy scratched a lot during parts of the season and all that, but I think he was very underrated for what he gave to this Montreal Canadiens team. So I think he could be a possibility in the bottom two for the Seattle Kraken. But again, I loaded up on defensemen. So it really just depends on who needs what and all that sort of stuff. So that's who I chose, Brett Kulak from the Montreal Canadiens. Chris, you're giving me that look like you think I'm stupid.
I don't get it.
Okay. All right. Here is the most interesting one of them all, in my opinion. The Nashville Predators. It's time for Nashville. Chris, who do you got?
Yeah, I looked at this and I saw so many good players, or good forwards, honestly, is what I was looking at mostly, because they saved only 3 forwards on their protected list and 4 defensemen. And then 1 goalie is what I'm showing. Wait, that doesn't make sense, does it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, that makes sense.
It would probably have to be 4-4-1 somewhere. There has to be another forward that was protected.
Yeah, I don't know. Someone else protected. But I'm confident I didn't pick a guy that would have been protected. I think this is still messed up from that trade, but whatever. I'm picking, I think it's Cale Yarncroke. That's correct? Or is it Kale? I have no idea. I never hear his first name.
No, you said it right. That you're
Cale?
1 for 3. You're 1 for 3.
Yeah, I'll take that one. All right, Kale's going to be your top 6 guy here. This season, he played 49 games, 28 points. Pretty dang good. Goals and assists were pretty much even, so he's a pretty high scoring guy. He's a shooter first. He's 29, so he's not super young, but I mean, he's going to be a solid guy who's proven that he can score points. So we're going to put him in the top 6 because there's not very many top 6 guys available, obviously. So,
all right. So this is why it was so interesting for me, Christian, because some of the protected lists I saw, most of them did not have them protecting their top 2 centers. So, right. So that means
I'm taking one of them.
That's it. You're exactly right. I did. And it was the decision was between, for me, was Ryan Johansson or Matt Duchene. And I mean, with those 2 guys being available, you have to choose one of them.
Oh, yeah.
I've said it for the 3rd time. There's not very many good, top 6 forwards that are going to be available for the Seattle Kraken. At least not established top 6. Who do you think I went with? I went with one of those players.
I actually don't remember. So you sent me that list earlier. I don't remember who you picked here. I would go with Ryan Johansson.
As did I. So I left Matt Duchene in the dust. I think one of the main reasons why I did not select him is because he has not had good seasons ever since he left Colorado. And now Colorado is a perennial Stanley Cup contender. So they can thank Matt Duchene for that. But the other reason I chose Ryan Johansson is because I think Ryan Johansson needs just a change of scenery. Ever since he came from Columbus, he's been okay for the Nashville Predators. But I think a change of scenery for him, he would be my number 1 center, no doubt, for the opening night roster. So for me, I take the guy that's 2 years younger than Matt Duchene, and I take Ryan Johansson.
Yeah, I know they haven't had great seasons, but geez, who are you gonna get with that money? Like, especially in a money thirsty market right now, since we haven't had the extension. I don't know. I mean, you made the playoffs. I feel like that's a bad decision if the Preds do that, but we'll see. That's a pretty it's a pretty ballsy move if you do that. But I'm definitely on your side. If they do that, you're taking one of them.
You've got. I mean, yes, Seattle has to, with the way that I'm doing the expansion draft. They do have to take some young guys, but they also have to show that they're willing to be competitive right now. I mean, maybe a bubble playoff team, maybe.
Well, and Ryan Johansson's going to be a good player for another 5 years at least.
At the very least, in my opinion, yes.
Like he's going to be at least a top 6 guy. I mean, I know his contract is $8 million, and that's a lot for what he's doing, but it's not ridiculous.
Right.
Like,
agreed. So I'm taking Ryan Johansson. Got to do it.
That's
all
crazy,
right.
Nashville.
I know. Well, the thing is that they're going in a different direction. I think they're tearing everything down.
If they're gonna blow it up after making the playoffs, I mean, be my guest, dude. You do you.
I think it was a little bit of a fact that they got hot at the right time and the Stars just couldn't catch them.
And of course that was a big thing, but still, dude, I don't get it.
I mean, think about it. Ryan Johansson will be gone. Pekka Rinne is not coming back. I don't think he's going to be re-signed. I think he may be a backup somewhere else. And then, I also expect Matthias Ekholm to be traded. So I think that David Poile is finally semi-tearing things down. I really think that's it for the Nashville Predators. Okay, here we go. Moving on to the New Jersey Devils. Okay, who's your pick?
Okay, so New Jersey sucks. They ain't got nobody. But I found an interesting prospect. And he's actually played a little bit for him. But I'm taking Nathan Bastian. Is that right?
I think so. That's one I don't know about.
Yeah, I think that's right. He played 41 games for him, 10 points, pretty respectable. But again, this guy's a monster. He's 6'4". He plays right wing. He's only 23. He's under contract for a little bit, and then he becomes RFA, right? Is that correct? I think that's correct.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's correct. But yeah, I think he's a great option. He could become super great power forward. I mean, he's only 23, so he's definitely still. This was his first year in the league. But yeah, I think he's the best option on their team. They don't really have anybody who can be good right now, in my opinion.
Right.
Unless you want to take PK Subban's $9 million cap hit.
Nobody. I don't even think they have to protect him. Honestly, at $9 million, you're not going to take PK Subban. No way. So my pick from the New Jersey Devils, and there wasn't much, to be honest with you, to choose from. I went with a name that I was more familiar with, that I had heard around hockey circles. I went with Andreas Janssen. And I think he's a good middle six guy. He's a winger. He's 26 years old. He's got a respectable cap hit at 3.4 for this year and next year. And then he's a UFA in 23, 24. So I picked him for Seattle, coming from the New Jersey Devils. All right, Chris. Moving on. Who is next?
Oh, Islanders?
I believe the Islanders.
Oh, okay. So from the Islanders, I got a weird one, but I selected Cal Clutterbuck. His contract is not great. He makes a lot of money. But again, we're talking about it's hard to find some top 6 guys. He could be a top 6 guy. So
Cal Clutterbuck? No.
Cal Clutterbuck can be.
No,
yeah, he is.
He can't.
Yes, he can be.
He plays on the 4th line in New York. No.
Okay, but he's a good player.
I will say
can
he's a
score
good player.
points.
He's can.
Very good defensively. He's all over the ice. He's a fast guy.
You need to think of Cal Clutterbuck more like a Nick Carrier or Ryan Reeves.
I think he's a second liner kind of guy.
No, absolutely not. No.
I think he is.
No.
Your second line's going to suck anyway. Why not put Cal Clutterbuck on there? I think Cal Clutterbuck always plays really well. I think he makes a lot of space. He's a quick guy, good on the forecheck. I like Cal Clutterbuck. So,
honestly, I didn't really have a choice in this. I just picked at random, and I just went based off of what other people told me. So I chose Otto Koivula. I think that's his name. He's He is a RFA this year. He makes $786,000. He's a left winger. He's 22. I'm mostly making this pick, because there's a chance he has a huge offensive upside. Maybe he's my William Karlsson of this draft. I don't know, but that's all I got on him.
Fair enough.
I mean, they were very well protected. The New York Islanders were.
So I'm taking Cal Clutterbuck.
Right. I will give you that. Cal Clutterbuck is a very good pick. He's another person that I might pick. Okay. Moving on to the New York Rangers. New York Rangers. Who do you got?
Let me see here. I got Anthony DeAngelo.
Oh, the controversial man.
Yep. So I'm taking him. Again, just because I'm going to load up on my defenseman. Yeah.
Offensive upside?
Yeah, a little bit there. Fire. You like that.
Yeah, but does all of his off ice stuff distract from all of that? And the other thing is, and why I thought about taking him just for his play on the ice, but it sounds like if you take him, you're doing the New York Rangers a favor, because the rumor around the New York Rangers right now is that they are going to buy him out. So he may just be available anyways in the unrestricted free agent market. So that's mainly why I didn't take him. And plus at $4.8 million, you're doing the Rangers a huge favor without getting anything from them in return. You could say, hey, I'll take Tony DeAngelo if you give me a 3rd round pick or a 2nd round. You know what? I'll say 2nd round pick just because how controversial he's been. And I mean, picking a fight with Georgiev and picking fights with other teammates, we forget about all of that, but it happened. And so maybe, I don't know, but I understand why you took him, because he is definitely the best player on the list that is available. That's not protected.
And I just think other teams would be able to give a better offer than than Seattle would. So like if they're trading, Seattle really doesn't want to give up a draft pick right now because they have literally nothing. So you want to hold on to all that as much as you want. So I think just take him and use him for a year. And that way, like if anything does happen, like just dump him next season. Like, and that's all you have. So I think it's not a bad option. And if that stuff irons itself out, which I think it could. I think he's fine. He's a young guy. I mean, Tyler Seguin was kind of a little wild guy, and then he changed teams and kind of figured himself out.
Mellowed out.
Sometimes guys just need different scenery, figure themselves out. And if he does, like, he could turn out to be like one of the top defensemen in the league. Honestly,
because I think he was being talked about, he wasn't like a Norris finalist, but I think he did get some Norris votes for the year. I forget which year it was. It might have been 18-19 or 17-18.
He could be like a Klingberg kind of guy,
Maybe.
It's worth the risk, in my opinion, because I don't think anyone else on New York is a good option, to be honest.
I took from the New York Rangers. I took Kevin Rooney. He's a right winger, $750,000. He's a UFA next year. He projects for me third line, possibly second line, depending on the rest of the depth of our team. And I think he'd be a good addition. Just from clips I've seen, I looked him up. I liked him, so I was like, okay, fine, Kevin Rooney. Plus, he got a cool name. He sounds like a talk show. That sounds like a evening talk show name, right? Kevin Rooney. I don't know. He should get his own talk show now, right?
Yes, definitely. Just because you said that.
Yep, just because I said that. Okay. Ottawa Senators. Who are you taking from the Ottawa Senators, Chris?
No clue. Nick Paul.
Nick Paul. And I think I picked the same guy.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
I kind of went.
You. Again, main reason why I picked him was just from a Stars perspective. We traded him to Ottawa in the Jason Spezza deal, and he's been a decent player, middle six guy for the Ottawa Senators. And I think this is one of the guys that Ottawa really doesn't want to lose. So that just makes me want him more if I'm Seattle. Yeah. So I'm taking Nick Paul.
Okay, some realistic reasons why I got him. He's a big guy. Again, we like big guys. Big guys are great. He's 6'3", left winger, 225. That's a man. And this season, he kind of had an offensive outburst. Like in 56 games, he had 20 points. That's pretty good.
That's not bad at all.
Most of them were assists, but if you're finding a way to get goals on the ice, we like you. So.
Yeah, especially for a offensively starved team, which is what we're looking at right now. So, okay, that's funny that we both chose that.
Yeah, on a team that doesn't matter.
Funny. Right? Yeah. I almost. Oh no, it wasn't this team. There is another team that I almost took someone else. Okay. Coming up next is Philadelphia. Chris, who you got?
Oh wait. Oh, no, now I remember. Okay, I was wondering. I was like, what the heck? This is wrong, but it's not. Okay. So I'm selecting James Van Riemsdyk if he's available. So he's 32. He's pretty old, but this guy's going to score some goals for you. He's going to be one of your top liners. I think he might be the guy with the C on his chest. Never know.
I agree with you. There are some aspects that you could argue that he would be the captain of the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, this guy seems more Fleury-like, in my opinion, than somebody else. Maybe Matt Dumba, kind of, just because he's a pretty big name as well.
Maybe, yeah, I could see that.
But he's under contract until 2023 as well. $7 million is kind of a lot, but I mean, you're not going to get a good option in your first line. And I mean, he's been stuck with the Flyers. So that could totally be holding him back. You never know.
That's mean, Christian. That's so mean.
The Flyers suck.
They don't.
They have great players. They have great players, and they still can't do anything with any of their players. Claude Giroux, I bet he would be we would say he's a top 5 guy if he was on any other team, top 5 guy in the league. But we don't ever see him because he doesn't play any nationally televised games. He doesn't play any playoff games. They go nowhere. That's so sad. I'm so sad for Claude Giroux.
Yeah, I mean, and he's getting up there in age too. He's 33.
Yeah, he's almost done, and he's done nothing. His team has done nothing, and he's almost done.
The Flyers are kind of like I can't think of another team that's a good example right off the top of my head right now. But it's like they make the playoffs.
Capitals.
Miss the playoffs.
The Capitals before they won the cup.
The playoffs. Yes, yes. And it's just like every other year they have a really good year, and then they have a really bad year where they miss the playoffs.
And even when they have a great season, they just lose in the playoffs. There's whatever. We have Claude Giroux and all these other great forwards. Jacob Voracek. Who cares? Let's just lose.
Well, and not to mention Kevin Hayes too. When he signed that contract, it was seen as like a bad contract, and it really. I think it might have been Ron Hextall who was there at the time. I don't remember. That's probably wrong, but it was seen as a bad contract, and it's actually come out to be okay. So, and Kevin Hayes seemed to be like the only guy in the bubble playoffs who was really playing well for the Flyers. So, anyways, to get back on track, I also selected James Van Riemsdyk as well. And again, I'll just go with the same argument. Top 6 player. Yeah, he's older. Yeah, he's got a high cap hit, but he's a guy that can score goals. And honestly, with my top line right now, I don't have a bad top first line. I have Max Domi, James Van Riemsdyk, and Ryan Johansson. I mean, all 3 of those names are recognizable.
Top line guys.
I think those are top line guys too. Maybe Max Domi isn't right now, but he's going to get the opportunity with my Seattle Kraken team. So we both choose him from Philadelphia Flyers. Felt that was pretty obvious. Okay, Coming up next is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Chris, who do you got?
I got Jared McCann. So this guy's a left winger on the Penguins. He's only 25. Very good. You like that. Hoping he can stay with the team for an extended period of time. He's already played a decent amount of games for us, or for in the NHL, and he's been on a couple teams. But this season especially, he played really great. He had 43 games played and 32 points, which that's pretty ridiculous. So you're hoping that this guy can push into that top two pairing, and he's under contract just for this year, but after that he'll be an RFA too, so that'll hopefully be a pretty easy signing. And I think this is a guy who's I can't remember. You keep alluding to him, the guy who wasn't great and then he turned out to be really good on the Knights.
William Karlsson.
Yeah, that's my William Karlsson, is Jared McCann. I think he could turn out to be a really great player.
You know, that's a very good pick. He was my second pick. I think he was actually protected on my list, but same argument again. Top 6 forward. I chose Jason Zucker. He's a guy that is not going to be a top 6, not first line guy for me, because I've got those 3 other guys. But he's going to be a second line forward for me. He's going to play on the left side. He's kind of in the prime of his career. He's 29 years old. He's about the same age as Tyler Seguin. $5.5 million cap hit. He's under contract till 2023. So it's good to get some of those players like him, and he can score goals. He scored goals in Minnesota. He scored goals for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hasn't had a good the past couple years, but he is who I chose. Jason Zucker from the Pittsburgh Penguins.
And I think we're on that same kind of page. If either one of our guys is protected, we're going to do the other one. But I feel like Malkin and Crosby are getting so old. I feel like they need to save as many guys who are good right now already, and just keep on trying to win until Crosby's done. Honestly, unless you want to blow up the team and let Crosby end his career on a bad team, which I don't think he'll enjoy. But
when you look at the team, honestly. I mean, Crosby is still a productive player, even at his age. He's still
a great player.
He's, in my opinion, he's still the second best player in the league. Other than I think Connor
he's at
McDavid,
least top 5.
I think he's taken over. He's been taken over by Connor McDavid. McDavid's number 1, but I would just put him second just because of what he does for his team. It may be a little hard to argue that based off of the past 3 years in the playoffs. They've been out in the first round, but they've got some young guys too. Looking at this list, they've got Zach Ashton-Reese. He's an RFA. He's only 26. Teddy Blueger's only 26. Jared McCann, assuming that they keep him, which in my list they do. Kasperi Kapanen's only 24, and Jake Gensel's only 26. So they've got a younger group of guys other than just Malkin and Crosby and Letang, and that, the older guys who won the 3 cups. So do they start tearing it down? I don't think so. I think it's too early. Maybe in a year or two, maybe you start going after younger players and start saying, okay, we got to get younger, but not right now, not at this point. I think they're kind of in the same limbo as the Stars, sort of, kind of, in a way. They've got some older guys who they want to try and get one more cup with, and they're just not willing to tear down everything just yet. So anyways, off my soapbox for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next up, San Jose Sharks. Who you got from San Jose, Christian?
I think I'm gonna do a last minute switcherooski.
Oh, interesting.
So I did have Matt Nieto. It's probably said completely wrong, but no,
You said it right. You said it right.
Man, I'm so good. But I was gonna let him play on our 4th line. He's under contract for a while still, which is really good. But I was gonna pick him, but he can't score at all, man. It's pretty bad. But there's a prospect, Alex True, on the San Jose Sharks, who's an RFA. If you can get him signed, that'd be awesome. He's a 6'4" center. 6'4" center. He's only 23. He just barely played a few games this year and last year just on call-ups, but he's gigantic. He hasn't even filled out his size yet. He still is way too thin, but he could be a really great player. A lot more offensive potential, and I think giving him the chance to play on an NHL roster is a great idea. And being 6'5", that definitely won't hurt. So last minute change, I'm taking Alexander True.
Are you just choosing him just because he's a younger guy and you just thought at the last second you'd rather take a younger guy?
Yeah, and Matt Nieto, like the best he's gonna do is be a fourth liner, and that's at best. He might not even be that. So I'm just there's not a great option on San Jose, and I didn't like my Matt Nieto pick when I looked at it, and then I saw Alexander True again. And I just thought I'd take a second look, and I'll go with Alexander True.
So I actually chose Matt Nieto. That's funny. That's like the third or fourth time we've done that completely by accident. But he's just a name I recognized. I know he's a good bottom six guy. He can play on the penalty kill.
Yeah.
I believe he signed for the next couple. Yeah, he signed for the next couple of years.
That was the big reason I picked him, is because he was already signed for the next couple of years, and like he would be a solid fourth liner. He would be like a Como for us, But I see more upside with Alex.
Yep, I just went with Matt Nieto just because I thought he would be a good pick for the Seattle Kraken. He'd be a great bottom six option, and I was very close to choosing Rudolph Balcers, but I was just like, nah. Take a guy that can play in the bottom six right now. All right, moving forward, we're finally starting to get to like the last 6 or 7 here. St. Louis Blues. Who is your pick for the St. Louis Blues, Christian?
I have Oskar Sundqvist. So, I don't know. He's 27. That's not very old. He's 6'3". That's pretty big. I don't know. I'm taking Oscar. That's all I got.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. So, for St. Louis, I believe I took a defenseman. Yes, I did. I took another young defenseman who is a restricted free agent this year. I took Vince Dunn. And he was a guy that I saw that played pretty big minutes for the St. Louis Blues this past season. He's a young guy. He's projected to be an NHL defenseman. I don't know if he will play for the Kraken or if I would trade him off. But again, I think he's the best option, the best asset that the Seattle Kraken can get from the St. Louis Blues. So that's my choice, is Vince Dunn. Okie dokie. Moving on even further. The second most interesting one, in my opinion. The Tampa Bay Lightning, your 2021 Stanley Cup champions. Who is your choice here, Christian? Who you got?
He's available. I'm taking him. I'm taking Tyler Johnson.
No surprise there. I expected you to take him.
Yep. He's going to score points for you. He could be a first liner if that just meshes better with some different players, whatever. Most likely your second line center, but he's a great player. He's a great player on the Lightning. Really skilled, lots of assists, really kind of a playmaker-y guy. And he's played on two cup teams already, so I like Tyler Johnson.
Here's my thought process with Tampa Bay. The only way that Tampa Bay is going to get under the cap is if they use the Seattle expansion draft to their favor. And in all reality, it's going to be more in favor of the Seattle Kraken, right? So here's my thought process. I did not take Tyler Johnson for one specific reason. I'll tell you why in a second. But I chose Matthew Joseph. And he is another guy who is another forward who I think could possibly be another William Karlsson-like pick. All right. We see these Tampa Bay just seems to have this depth that, they just insert a young player and he just fits perfectly in the lineup. And Matthew Joseph does that for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And based off of what I saw in the Stanley Cup Final, he was very noticeable to me, and he did a lot of very good things. Chris, stop giving me a dirty look. But okay, so here's also
That's
why.
dumb.
No, here's why I didn't choose Tyler Johnson. I think Tyler Johnson is going to be a Seattle Kraken anyways. And I think that Tampa Bay is going to make a deal with Seattle to and send him off to the Seattle Kraken.
I don't think Seattle has
And
the
it's
cards
great.
to get him.
I think that they definitely do. They have all the cap space in the world. And for everybody who is living in a flat cap world,
He's still signed with the Lightning.
right? He's still
He's got all
signed
the
with the
cap
Lightning.
space, but someone else is gonna want him, and they'll give you some prospects and picks and something for him. I don't know. I don't think Seattle's willing to give that kind of stuff up.
Well, and my thing also is, and this was kind of petty of me too, but I didn't want to do Tampa Bay any favors either.
Yeah, that's what I was. That's the big thing I was thinking you were doing. I was like, well, that's the best option for the Stars is if they don't take him. So in that case, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because if Seattle takes him in the expansion draft, then he's immediately they're immediately under the cap after that.
Yeah, that does favors for him, but I mean, like,
right.
I don't see how you don't take him. Like,
Matthew Joseph is a cheaper guy. He's an RFA. He's a younger player. He can still play top six, in my opinion. I think you can insert him into the top six. And he's just a younger player, so he can be around Seattle longer. So he's gonna have that. You want players to have loyalty to your team. Now you're not going to have a bunch of that right off the bat, but I think that is one player that you definitely could have make him have a loyalty to your team. And that's why I would choose a younger guy. So that's me, Matthew Joseph. Some of it is personal because of the Stars, but whatever. All right, man. Let's continue on. Another interesting choice. Toronto Maple Leafs. Who do you got from the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I'm taking Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's going to be one of my goalies in my dynamic duo. He's going to be playing. I think he's going to be a good goaltender for them. I think he'd likely resign if he becomes the number one guy, which I think he would beat the other guy that I'm about to take. But I think what he showed in Toronto is legit. That's legit Jack Campbell. So I think we're taking him. And if not, I'm taking Frederick.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, if they protect Campbell, I'll take Frederick. Yeah.
So that's my thinking, Chris. Is I don't think he's going to be available. Period. There's no chance that he's going to be available. He will be the starter for the Toronto Maple Leafs next season, and you can mark my words on that.
And if he's not available, I'm taking Frederik Andersen, and I'm just as happy, honestly.
Well, my only thing is Frederik Andersen going to sign a contract because he's a UFA this year?
Yes, he will. He's going to take a pay cut. He's going to not want to be a backup goalie, and if he goes to Seattle, he's going to be in the fight for it. Whereas if he goes to Toronto, they're already going to be inclined to, like, if they're protecting Jack Campbell, they're going to be inclined to start Jack Campbell. They're saying that he's more important than you. So he's a number one goalie who wants to be a number one goalie. So he's going to go where he can get that kind of playing time, in my opinion. So I think you'll get him, and you'll get him at under $5 million.
So there's a lot of speculation with Toronto for me with who's going to be protected, who's not going to be protected. Mostly because Toronto is the most heavily covered team in Canada. So there's obviously going to be a lot more media about the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was really hard to decide. I kind of went through and I did a little bit more research on who would be the protected players for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I saw a 441 protected list. I saw a 731 protected list, and it seems it's come down to two players. It's in just depending on which format you go. I think they're going to go with the 7-3-1 format. That's just me. I think that will leave Justin Hall unprotected. So I will be taking Justin Hall. He's a little bit of an older guy. So he's 29, and he really just popped up this season. He had a really good season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's more of a defensive guy, and he's kind of like the Jamie Alexiak for Toronto. He really solidified that fourth spot on their decor. So I think I will be taking Justin Hall if I'm the Seattle Kraken for the Toronto Maple Leafs. If they go the 4-4-1 route, I believe that Alexander Kerfoot would be available. I would take Alexander Kerfoot. He could be a second line guy if he's available. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think forward picks on Toronto are really good too. I see Riley Nash could be available. That's a good option. I think he could be a top 6 guy. Wayne Simmons is a decent option. He's a little bit older, not really a top 6 guy so much, but he's under contract already, so that's a good option.
I just don't know if you would take him.
Wayne Simmons, I would take him. I like Wayne Simmons. I think he's a good player. I think he's a solid bottom 6 guy, and I think he can score sometimes too. So
maybe. I am just kind of surprised that they signed him before the expansion draft, because that leaves him eligible to be taken. And they already.
I think he's fulfilling one of the spots that they need.
No, well, they already had 2 guys. They had Alexander Kerfoot and they had Pierre Engvall. So maybe with them signing Wayne Simmons, maybe that gives them the opportunity to protect Alexander Kerfoot, which is why, because if they don't have Wayne Simmons, they have to leave Alexander Kerfoot available. So that's why I think they're going to go with the 4-4, or not the 4-4-1, the 7-3-1 route, 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, 1 goaltender, because then they can protect him. And then that leaves 2 players, Pierre Engvall and Wayne Simmons, available.
Yeah. Either way, I don't think you're making a bad pick here.
Right, agreed.
Whoever you pick here is going to be pretty solid. He's going to be a big part of the team.
Definitely agree. 100% agree there. Okay, moving on. We are down to the last 3. Vancouver Canucks, the Seattle Kraken pick. Christian?
He's available. I'm taking him. We're taking Braden Holtby. And he is going to be the guy you're looking at starting. Okay. I know. He sucked. Okay, he was bad. I get it. But look at his career stuff. .915 save percentage. Awesome. 2.58 goals against. Awesome. He has been a great goaltender. He won a cup. Awesome. He was a great goaltender. He makes one of the best saves I've ever seen. Okay. If he can find that again, Seattle's a great team off the bat if he can find that.
That's a big if, Christian.
It is a big if.
I just don't see it.
It is a big if.
I don't see it with Braden Holtby.
But even if it's not, then I got either Jake Allen or Jack Campbell / Frederick Anderson, who's going to be, and there's going to be a dynamic. Again, it's going to be 2 goalies. I'm not going to have 1 goalie playing for him. They're going to pretty much do the 1A, 1B type of thing. So I think it's worth the risk to take a Braden Holtby, see what you can do. And again, like you've said before, maybe you can get him without using your pick in the draft and pick him up as in a trade or something like that. But I think he's a fine option.
I did not take Braden Holtby. Obviously, they signed him last year with the intention of exposing him in the expansion draft, because obviously they're not going to leave Thatcher Demko available, right? There's no chance. So yeah, but man, the only thing for me is that he just hasn't been good the past couple of years. It seems like ever since he won the cup, he hasn't been the same, and that's just why. I mean, maybe he has a resurgence, because Fleury did that. Flower did that in Vegas. So,
and I mean, he had one bad season, and he was pretty much given a backup role after that. So, I don't know. I feel like they took him off the ice too quick. I think he totally could find what he had. I think it's worth the risk. Who'd you take?
I took a lesser known guy, and I will say thank you to the hockey guy for this because he obviously his main team is Vancouver. So I chose none other than make sure I'm saying his name right, Zach McEwen, and he's a 25-year-old center. Again, you can't have too many centers, we've been saying this whole podcast. He makes
Yeah.
$825,000, and he's under contract for next season. So he's and maybe not second line, third, fourth line guy, possibly. He can kill penalties. He's kind of a mid-sized guy up to the larger range. So yeah, Zach McEwen. That's who I took. And
I don't know,
left Braden
dude. There's some good players that you're not taking. Brandon Sutter, Tanner Pearson.
Well, I don't have the protected list in front of me, but I believe both of those guys were protected.
Protected on yours?
Yes, I believe so.
I have a lot of my younger guys. I have Elias Pettersson, Tyler. Obviously, that was a stupid thing to say, but I have Tyler Mott protected. Jake Vitrin.
Jake
Virtanen. No, but
what does that make?
Whatever.
Are you 2 for 7 for the evening? What does that make it?
I don't know.
2 for 7, 2 for 6.
Low. But yeah, I would take or Antoine Roussel. That's honestly not a bad pick. Like as a fan favorite kind of thing, like bring some more fans to the stands. If you're trying to
sell tickets, he's a guy that you would want to have.
If you're trying to sell tickets and you're trying to be a lowball team and buy players for the free agency, an Antoine Roussel kind of guy is not a bad option.
Just at $3 million, that's just a lot for me.
Yeah, it's a lot for an Antoine Roussel, but you know.
It is what it is. Yeah. I just like the way Zach McEwen plays. And you know, I watch the hockey guy videos every day, and he has nothing but good things to say about him. And I've watched some highlights of his, and I liked the way he played, so that's just why I chose him. Okay, we are down to the final two, the W's. Washington Capitals. For you, Christian, the Seattle Kraken select.
We select Daniel Sprong. So Daniel Sprong is kind of a nobody, but he plays a little bit. But this season he did a little bit better. He played 42 games this season, 20 points, nothing to bat an eye at. He's a 6 foot right winger. He's only 24, so we get even better than he is now. Man, he looks like a 40-year-old man though. So I don't know about all that. Well, I'm not saying you're ugly, dude, but come on. I don't know. But yeah, this guy is going to have some offensive upside. I think he's going to fight to be on the second line because, again, like we've said, there's not a lot of top 6 guys. But I think he's a great option to get a little bit more goal scoring.
All right. From the Washington Capitals, for me, the Seattle Kraken select Vitek Vanacek. All right. And Vitek Vanacek.
Oh, yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah, you gotta love the name, right? I mean that is such an awesome name. I mean, imagine him being like a broadcaster later on in life and just hearing the name alongside Vitek Vanacek. I'm Brian Chambers. That's just an awesome name. Sorry,
that is an awesome name.
That's it. We should do a podcast.
Like Yoki Paka.
Yeah, we should do like a podcast about just like awesome names of the NHL. And yeah, your Yoki Paka would be another one. Played for the Stars, defenseman. Oh gosh, was that 5-6 years ago?
Too long.
That was a while ago. Yeah. Just for his name. All right. Well, I chose him just based off of his play as the unexpected starter for the Washington Capitals this season. You could technically argue that he was the best goaltender for them this past season. Obviously, Samsonov is going to be protected by them. And I liked his play. This was the year of the young goaltender. I mean, with all these Nedeljkovic, our own Jake Ottinger, Vitek Vanacek, Kaapo Kakinen. There were just a bunch of guys, young goaltenders who stood out, and he stood out to me. So for me, I took Vitek Vanacek.
Okay.
Any comments about that?
Sure. I mean, you're telling me
Why not?
you're telling me I'm taking a step saying Braden Holtby could be a good goaltender again, and then you're taking Vitek Vanacek and whoever the heck it was earlier. So I don't know about all that, but
I went younger with my goaltenders. I really did. My 3 goaltenders are 25, 25, and 27. So I did not go for the expected older guys. I don't know. That's just what I went with and who I thought would be the best. Okay, last but definitely not least, unless you are playing Montreal in the quarterfinals, the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets. Christian, who do you got from Winnipeg that Seattle is taking?
so I'm taking kind of an interesting contract, actually. I'm taking Adam Lowry. I have that he is unprotected. He's 28. He's a center. He's making about $3 million. But this is what strikes me. His contract goes till 2026. So this guy, he's not a terrible player either. He played 52 games this season, 24 points, pretty decent. He's huge. He's 6'5". He's a monster. He's gonna fight to be on the second line, I think, with a couple of other guys. I mean, there's gonna be a not great player on the second line. That's just a given, just because that's how they work. But I think he's gonna be. I think he could be really good on this team, and having that super long contract, like he could be like a franchise guy, you know. I think it's an interesting option, and I like him. We're going with Lowry.
I like that pick. I really do. Adam Lowry has played decently for the Winnipeg Jets. It would just suck for him because his dad is one of the coaches for Winnipeg, so he would.
That's why I was kind of surprised that he's not protected. Like he signed till 2026, and his dad's a coach, and you're not going to protect him.
Yeah,
you're asking for him to get taken.
I really do think that he's protected in on my list. So that's just me. That's I think he is going to be protected. I went with I had no idea who this guy was until looking up other Seattle draft expansion possibilities. You know, with all the NHL guys, all the athletic guys. You know, just looking at all these random things. But this was almost a unanimous decision across the board.
Jordy Ben?
Oh, if only.
It's not Jordy Ben?
No. If I want to score, if I want to score goals against myself, I'd pick Jordy Ben, but it's not Jordy Ben. I picked Mason Appleton.
Oh no, I did hear about this guy.
Yeah, he is a center who can also play on the right wing. He'll be a restricted free agent next season. He's got a very respectable $900,000 cap hit. It's a guy that has possible offensive upside. So he might play for the second line. But middle six somewhere is where I would probably put him. He has killed penalties in the past, apparently. So that's another reason why I would pick him. But I looked up some highlights of his on YouTube, and I liked what I saw.
Yeah,
so
and he's actually protected on mine. So again, we're doing the same. We would flip players, I think, here, just depending on who they protect. But yeah, that'd be pretty gutsy to protect Appleton, because you're just asking for Lowry to get taken, and then you're going to have an unhappy player and an unhappy coach. So I don't know about all that.
Okay, so let's just look at the lineups that we have right now, and let's look at let's just say starting line opening night for the Seattle Kraken. Who's your forward line? Who's your top defensive pairing? And who's your starting goaltender? You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So for me, who I would go with, obviously I kind of already said it for the forward grouping. I put Ryan Johansson down the center. I'd put James Van Riemsdyk. I always say his name wrong, on the left side, and I'd put Max Domi on the right side. That's a line that has some possibility. There's some goal scoring that could be done there. And I really like that. I really like that first line. It's not a terrible first line to take from the Seattle Kraken. Is it a possibility that they make the playoffs? Yes, with that first line. but maybe not. I don't know. For my starting D pair, this was a little bit harder because there's a lot of good D men here. Man, I think what I'm going to go with Matt Dumba and Jeremy Lazon. That would be my starting first pair for Seattle this upcoming season. And then my starting goaltender, I've already mentioned it, will be Chris Drieger. He's going to be my starting goaltender for the Seattle expansion draft. I don't think that's a bad starting lineup. If you start that.
Now your forwards are much better than mine. Yeah. My forwards were not as plentiful as yours were.
So who do you got?
So I've got my first line. Not great. I got James Van Riemsdyk, which is pretty good. I'm putting Tyler Johnson up there, and then I got Jared McCann up there as well. I mean, that's kind of all. I don't have the other. All I got's James Van Riemsdyk. I don't have the other two guys that you had on there. Who were they again? I can't even.
It was Max Domi and also Ryan Johansson.
Yeah, that's for your first line. That is ideal, and I don't have those two guys. So your first line is going to be a little bit tough. And again, you're going to want to. I'm sure you're going to want to trade / buy somebody before your season fully gets going up there. But my first pair. So, yeah. So for the first pair. This is I'm going to say this best case scenario again. So we're going to go with the best case scenario. Your first pair is going to be Matt Dumba and Anthony DeAngelo. So we're going to say DeAngelo's chill. He's fine. He had some water thrown on him and he feels a lot better about himself. I don't care that they're both right defensemen. I really don't. They're going to be your 1 and 2.
All right, and then who's your starting goaltender?
My starting goaltender is Braden Holtby. He's coming in for a comeback. He's going to be great, but he's barely a starting goaltender. He's a 1A. Your 1B is Jack Campbell.
And or Frederick Anderson, I'm guessing.
And or Frederick Anderson.
Because I can guarantee you Jack Campbell will be protected. He will not be available.
I don't know, dude.
I'm guaranteeing it. He will not be available.
I think it would be crazy too, but.
Yeah. All right. Well, that took a long time, but that was fun. All right. Before we go, we've got a little question that came in from Twitter. And we're going to start a new segment starting tonight. And the segment is called Who Cares? And I got this submitted on Twitter. What are your top 3 chicken fast food restaurants? Because, chicken fast food restaurants are big down here in the South and in Texas, in my opinion. So let's just see if we got the top 3 correct.
Correct.
Yes, because mine is correct, and whatever you say, if it's not mine, is incorrect. Okay. So choose very wisely. What's your top 3?
All right.
Start with number 3.
So chicken fast food restaurant is very broad. Okay, you got chicken fingers, you got chicken Sammys, you got fried chicken, your normal on the bone stuff. Man,
right,
you could lump
all those.
You could lump hot wings in there. I'm not going to do that because that would take up my list.
Oh yeah, okay. So no hot wings. Yeah, hot wings would make this harder. So no chicken wings, but like chicken fast food places. So not Wingstop, not Buffalo Wild Wings, nothing like that.
All right, number 3. I know you don't go here, but I'm saying Popeyes. Fried chicken.
Made me throw up.
They're on the bone, 2-piece dark meat combo, fried chicken is the best. You get it spicy. Okay, the spicy is not spicy. It's like spiced. It's not hot. It is so good. It's amazing. Their fries are some of the best fast food fries, like across all genres. They're amazing. They have red rice and beans, schlaps, outstanding. Go eat some Popeyes chicken. If you don't believe me, you will not eat KFC again.
Okay, can we both agree that KFC sucks?
No, KFC does not suck. It is its own thing.
KFC sucks.
No.
KFC absolutely sucks. It's not a question. It's not even
You just asked it as a question.
It's no. It shouldn't be on anybody's list. And the only place that's popular, I don't know why, but when I went over to London, and I mean across the pond, London, like in England, they were everywhere. KFC was everywhere, and I didn't understand
it. Bad. It's good.
It's not good. It's bad.
Quit hating on KFC. It's not the best chicken, but it's good. Like, it's not bad chicken.
All right. Here's my number 3.
Hating. We're just lucky because we're in the South. That's why we have such good chicken.
Yeah, that is
everywhere else. It's really good.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So number 3 for me, I went with Golden Chick. Golden Chick is my favorite.
That's what I thought you were gonna do. That's the difference between Popeyes.
Right. And specifically for 2 reasons.
I think Golden Chick is much more regionalized. Actually, I think that's kind of only a North Texas thing.
Maybe it is a North Texas thing, but it's still a chain and it's still fast food. So I'm going to go with it. So the rolls, oh my goodness, those are the best. They're amazing
on the market.
They must have like some kind of illegal drug in them or something, because it's like it's just so addictive. There's got to be nicotine in those yeast rolls, and then their sweet tea. I love their sweet tea. And for those of you that are listening that are Northerners, whether you're listening now or you're listening later on the podcast side of things, it's sweet. I mean, it's basically like tea flavored sugar water. So I love the sweet tea from there. Okay, that's my number 3. Number 2, Christian.
Number 2, I'm giving it to Raising Cane's. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, delicious. Their bread, schlapping. The sauce, amazing. The chicken is always hot and fresh and juicy. And they perfected the finger form. Most of your fingers, too much breading. Whataburger, there's too much breading on your chicken fingers. Calm down, dude. I can't even taste the chicken. All I taste is salty bread. Okay? That's not chicken. That's not what I want. If I'm eating chicken, I want to taste the chicken. Okay? Chill out with the breading. They have the perfect thin little crispy breading on there. It's always crispy. It's always juicy. Their bread is good. With the toast, the Texas toast wise, they got some of the best Texas toast in the game. The rolls at Golden Chick are better, but if you want some good Texas toast, man, hit it. And they're cold. Y'all quit hating on their coleslaw. The coleslaw in the box combo. It's the perfect thing to go.
That's the only bad thing about.
Okay. Everything else in the box combo is just loaded with grease. So you eat something you eat a chicken finger, you take a bite of coleslaw, refresh the palate, cuts through all the grease. It's perfect. All y'all hating on the box combo, add an extra toast. What are y'all gonna do? You want to gain 5 pounds by eating one box combo? Okay, yes. Get another toast. Y'all are crazy. Eat the coleslaw. It's
there is nobody who goes to Raising Cane's on a regular basis.
Wait, what's your number 2? Is your number 2 Raising Cane's?
Yes. Okay. I'm gonna continue with number 2. Okay. I'm gonna argue with you here though. Nobody goes to Raising Cane's and gets coleslaw. How dumb are you?
Because people are stupid. It's a part of the box combo. That's why it's not the 3-finger. The 3-finger has a smaller amount of food. Therefore, you do not need the breaks between the grease. You can just get all the grease in your body quick enough before it gets gross.
So one extra chicken finger makes it.
There's extra fries in it too. Okay, quit talking. No. The extra chicken finger does do that. You can shove 3 chicken fingers down your gullet and the Coke will be fine. But if you get the extra finger, you need the extra acidity to cut through.
Well, hold on. You're going to get
If y'all don't believe me, just try it. Y'all don't believe me, just try it, okay? Just try it. Get the coleslaw one time. Eat it between the fingers and the fries and the bread and stuff. Okay, you don't like coleslaw. That doesn't count. Quit arguing so much if you don't even like coleslaw at all.
The coleslaw in general sucks.
Yes.
Period. And when you have an opportunity to get an extra piece of bread or French fries, you're going to get the extra French fries or the extra piece of toast.
Yeah, if you want to die 5 years early.
I do. Nobody is going to going to keep the coleslaw. I bet you if we go and like we took like a poll of Raising Cane workers and asked them like what people do with the coleslaw, I would bet you at least 50% or more gets rid of the coleslaw.
And I agree. That's why I'm getting on this soapbox and talking about it.
So
I feel like they're.
Read the bottom. Okay, so for those of you that are listening, you can't see it, but it says Chris is wrong on the YouTube video. So Chris is wrong about coleslaw.
You can't use that unless I can use that. That's messed up.
I can totally do it. I got control of it.
That is messed up.
Chris is wrong. Chris is wrong. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, okay, I'll take it off. Sorry. All right. Anyways, okay. That's our number 2. I think we argued more about this chicken finger stuff that we did on the actual draft. Okay. Anyways, who do you got at number 1? I have a feeling that that number 1 is the same for both of us. Who is it for you?
It's Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Their sandwiches are perfect. The bread, y'all don't even think about the bread. I know y'all don't. Y'all have not thought about it. Their bread is the perfect bread for that sandwich. It really is.
I'm going to steal your word, smacking.
It is no, not smacking. It is
schmacking.
Schmacking.
Schmacking. Sorry, with the H.
Schmacking.
The H vowel in there.
SCH. Schmack.
Well,
it is amazing. The little pickles is perfect. You need those little bit for the same kind of thing. You need the acidic bite through there. You don't just want to be clogging your throat with grease. And I know you take the pickles off. I bet you do. Yeah, you do.
I do.
Oh my goodness!
I don't even order it on there. Honestly, I can't. I can't stand pickles, and
if
that's
y'all
not
haven't,
Chick-fil-A's fault.
If y'all haven't tried it, their mac and cheese,
amazing.
It is so good, so worth it. And their side salad, you can pay extra to get the side salad. The side salad is great with avocado ranch. Oh my goodness, they have some of the best sides, and their dips they're all good. The only one that I think is not good is their barbecue sauce. But who cares? You're not going to get just their barbecue sauce anyway.
Yeah, I mean, when you got all the other options, you got Chick-fil-A sauce, which is the best, in my opinion. We could have a whole nother conversation about the sauces.
Yeah, we could do a whole nother ranking with the sauces.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. There's so many. But like even their buffalo sauce is so like basic. Yeah.
Another thing. Y'all have not tried this sauce. You have to try it. Sweet and spicy sriracha. Give it a try.
I didn't even know that one. Okay, I'm gonna have to do that.
It is so good. If you like spicy stuff and you want to have a heartburn, like get the number 2. Put some sweet and spicy sriracha. Oh man, it's hot too. That's some hot stuff. It is so good. It is amazing.
Oh man. Okay. So we.
Oh my goodness, this is gonna be a 2-hour podcast.
I know, man. Right? This is like the longest one we've ever done since like the very beginning. You remember when we did that?
Yes, I do.
The draft / we do playoff preview.
Playoff preview.
Yeah. In the bubble playoffs. So dang, man. But this was fun, right?
Yeah.
We definitely argued more about the chicken restaurants.
It's probably also because we hadn't done it for like a week and a half. Oh yeah, we didn't do that because I was sick. By the way.
Yeah.
We're not lazy.
Yeah, Christian wanted to punish his butt, so he went and got Taco.
I literally did. That's literally what happened. I got food poisoning and punished my butt. Okay, you can go on your Chick-fil-A rant before we. I should get Chick-fil-A next time.
You pretty much said everything there. The only thing that I like that's different than most people at Chick-fil-A is their honey mustard. I love their honey mustard. And, you know, most people don't like their honey mustard because it's a little bit on the spicier side than the sweet side.
That's better.
So I agree. I like it better. But, yeah, the Chick-fil-A is my number 1. Number 2, Raising Cane's number 3. We could argue about all night. Yours is Popeyes. Mine's Golden Chick. I think Amanda would probably pick a different one, too. I think she might do a different top 3s. But anyway, guys, I think that's going to do it here for us tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. Along with Christian Chambers, I am Ryan Chambers. This has been Sarcastic Remarks on the Hockey Podcast Network presented by DraftKings. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at StarcasticR. We also have our Instagram, our Facebook, and our brand new Twitch, which we are broadcasting from as well as YouTube. There's Amanda in the background. Everybody say hi to Amanda. And we appreciate you guys tuning in for tonight. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Everybody, we hope you have a good evening.